April 1st. So we are very excited for the winter to almost be over. And thank you so much to each one of our committee members that have joined. We have quorum. Thank you so much. Today we are going to be facilitating introductions, and we have a presentation from our colleague from the Third Avenue BID, Benjamin Angel, Program Manager of Commercial District Revitalization Programs. And first, let's start with a round of introductions. My name is Paola Martinez, and I am the chair of this committee. On my right,
Susan Camerata, I'm the vice chair of the committee.
and on my left,
Freddie Perez.
Argelio Ortiz, a board member.
Michael Pimentel.
Diana Leonard, Community Associate with the Bronx Community Board 1.
Stephen Palmer's Community Coordinator for Bronx CB1.
Benjamin Engel with the Third Avenue BID.
thank you so much,
Good
Angel.
evening, Chair, ladies and gentlemen. Andy Jordan, just mentioned to the board, just a reminder that we are being recorded live on our social media outlets, including our YouTube channel. Good afternoon, good evening, Chair, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much. So, Angel, we had reached out to Pedro. I don't know if you'd be, I'm assuming, but I'm not sure if you'd be the right person then to not only walk us through this CDNA and chatting about efforts for revitalizing the area, but some of our community board members have been very, interested in learning more about the efforts of the Third Avenue BID and how we can potentially work together. There's a lot of conversations and a lot of interest, in particular with the street vendors and other aspects of the activities. I had the opportunity, as a disclosure, I had the opportunity to work for SBS for some time, very familiar with the CDNA process. And I'm hoping that the committee members here also take advantage of the information that you can provide. But I would also like to give the members an opportunity to have an open conversation briefly about, some of the things that they see as residents and business owners in the community, so that we can put together a small list, right, of some of the things that we could potentially work as partners with your organization and be of support.
Yes, I know you have Pedro scheduled for next month for this committee, and he'll be presenting on, a lot of the things he's doing. And of course, we work together, but I was very eager to share the results of surveying in this presentation that I've been working on the past 6 months that I've been at the BID. So definitely want this to be a conversation. You guys are local neighborhood experts and know what's happening in the hub. So this is about me hearing a lot from you. So we can go through this, interrupt with any questions, any feedback. So the main point of this CDNA today, I think, is to go over the strengths, challenges, and opportunities. That's sort of where it's all building, and the opportunities will be the programs that the BID will be working on with community partners in the next 2 years. So all the aspects of that's happening in the hub will hopefully be filtered into at least 5 actionable things that the BID can do with you guys as the committee, with the community board, with other community partners. We're not alone. We can't take on everything, but we want to be, positioned as a connector for everyone here. I hope that makes sense. And does that start to answer your question? Yeah.
Let's see.
Do you walk us through the presentation?
Yeah, so let's jump in. Yeah, so okay. So once again, my name is Benjamin Engel, Ben, program manager with the Third Avenue BID, and I'm working on Commercial District Needs Assessment, CDNA, so it's really checking the pulse of the commercial corridor on 3rd Avenue, 149th Street, Melrose, right in the hub. That's in conjunction with the BID and SBS.
A clarifying point.
Yeah.
Are you an employee with the bid or with SBS?
With a bid.
The bid. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so what is the CDNA? What is it gonna do? In a large sense, promoting local businesses, improving the quality of life, public spaces, the streets, and building community. I see it as really bringing the business community together to take ownership in the public realm. Okay, so Avenue NYC is a commercial revitalization grant that funds community-based organizations like the BID to carry out programs targeting commercial districts in low and moderate income communities. In this first year, we are building capacity, so identifying potential partners, doing a business inventory, so physically walking the entire study area and documenting each storefront, looking at the streetscape, where are the roads working, what's working on the sidewalks, things like that. Surveying to all consumers, merchants, property owners, presenting to groups like this and other groups and getting feedback. And then we're doing an early action project in the next few months. And yeah, more on that soon. So yeah, just today, this is what we're gonna walk through. Bit of neighborhood context, key takeaways, the business inventory, all the things I mentioned, storefront observations, streetscape, merchant survey responses, and then really the strengths, challenges, and opportunities, and then my contact info. All right. Okay, so, I think most of you know this, but as a refresher, the hub is the oldest commercial corridor and bid in the Bronx. So our bid was founded in 1990. And yeah, the development of the commerce along Third Ave dates back to the 1850s. So very old historic area. Third Avenue, East 149th, Willis, Melrose too form the core of the hub. 28,000 people in this study area, 65% Hispanic, 30% Black, and about a $26,000 median income. Yes.
And do you know if that, the bid, is that the historic, that's what it's always been? That
The boundaries.
you don't see the boundaries, it's always been.
It's always been that, yeah. So we were looking at a possible expansion. I think the CDNA is a good step towards that. So like going along 149th Street, it's not all of 149. It would make a lot of sense to expand there. But right, what you see in the blue is the boundaries, and it's been that way the whole time. So it's pretty small.
I would even suggest going a little bit north, so 157, 156.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Like the Aldi's and that building is not in our boundaries, but obviously a major stakeholder for us to consider. So, okay. Oh, great. The animation's working. So,
Can you bring the one back there?
yeah, so it'll go back and forth. I really love this image. I feel like, so this is from 1902. Just shows like the growth over time, the changing of the landscape, the streets, the buildings, the people.
What was the demographic back then in terms of ethnic groups?
Oh gosh, I mean, it's seen every version of New York.
German and Irish.
German and then Irish.
Italian,
Yeah,
more
Italian.
Italian.
Interesting.
And there was, Merrill's was Polish,
Mm.
and then towards Merrill's was German, a lot of Germans and Irish.
I thought it was
Yeah.
around here was also the Irish was
Yes.
big deal. They
Yes,
were,
they were.
church.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think Jerome's was always like Irish and
Mm.
St. Luke.
Yes.
You can see the Third Avenue elevated train in the back.
I rode it.
So yes,
It was actually going up Third Avenue.
Really?
It was known as the L train.
Yep.
Yeah,
L
yeah.
train.
I was a
L
kid.
train?
I was a kid.
I was only a kid, I was about 5 years old. when
Yeah,
it
I was a kid.
Yeah.
I rode
Oh,
that.
wow.
Riding that train, wow.
so 1974. I think
Yeah,
it
that was, should
decommissioned.
be decommissioned, yeah.
Ran from 1884 to
74.
1974. So
Wow.
That was
really sort of like,
And then what, they had the subway then? What happened? They put a
Buses.
the buses.
Yeah,
replaced it.
Well, that one.
Because in Richmond Hill, we still have the L,
That
we
one
have
should
the
go
J
with the
trains elevated.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it
Yeah.
started on Wall Street. It was the one on the
Mhm.
Bowery that went all the way up.
All the way from Wall Street to here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to Gun Hill Road.
It went all the way up to
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because it was right at street level and you felt like if you were riding a trolley. But you got on that train.
Oh my, really? That's how it
Now
started?
you know how old I am.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, that's a great
Yeah,
story.
I remember that.
Amazing.
So
I remember that.
I love the history, and I feel like that's a big thing that
It's
Bid wants to
huge,
do.
yes.
Like, we want to tap into that and like learn and grow with that. So another major part of that is the businesses that are here, you know, they, most of them are 11 years or older, with a quarter being 21 years or older. I think Best Italian Pizza is the oldest, 67 years.
Benjamin, I already have an idea.
So, okay, right, right.
Write it
But
down.
yes, what is it? Yeah.
We should bring a trolley to this area and do some sort of celebration at some point. They do that in so many neighborhoods, maybe like for Christmas, like bringing a trolley and having the picture exhibit by the bid.
Yes, there's a
That's
Bronx
cool.
trolley.
Yeah, the borough president has one.
Yes,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
so we're in
It's
talks.
just out of,
Yes.
it's out of,
Wow.
it's not
Yes,
really
it's
working. They
out.
need to refurbish it, so it costs a lot of, plus it costs a lot of money, according to them, to run it from place to
Oh,
place. It's just-
We
But they have one,
should.
it's rotting away over there, but it's a really nice one.
Yeah, so that stuff is there, that could be something we do as part of this, so.
Christmas time by the plaza.
Exactly. So yeah, Lucky Perfumes, 30 years in operation, you know, they have great relationships with the customers. Of course, you know, we can't ignore like, you know, what Representative Richie Torres has called out as an open air drug market in the hub. And the newest thing is the Community Link Initiative, that's combining a lot of city agencies. Yeah. And of
Community
course,
Link, that's the, right, is that what that is, the?
oh, that's
the-
Link NYC, the.
Oh, that's
the-
Link NYC,
yeah.
okay, so the Community Link is different.
That's like a new initiative that's combining like police and like other city
Oh, I'm
agencies to
sorry, got
coordinate on quality of life issues, but just want to like highlight the transit-rich nature of this area. The trains, it's less than a 30-minute ride to Grand Central Station. The buses, you know, really is a hub. I think there's 10 bus lines here. Walking distance to Yankee Stadium, Mott Haven Historic District. So a lot of areas to build on. Yeah. Okay, so what did we find when I walked around? 613 total storefronts. Vacant storefronts, unfortunately, are the majority, with a 17% rate in the hub, 8% rate in the Bronx total, so it's pretty high. 58% of the vacancies appear empty or have no sign at all. So, yeah, we can go through. So, okay, so maybe an open question, like what do you look at when you see a storefront? Like think about what draws you in. How would you rate a storefront? You know, so that's one aspect of this is looking at the quality of the storefront. So most fared good, right? 60% on a 1 to 5 scale. The vacancies, however, pull down the average, and they have a 1.5 rating out of 5. But the occupied stores have about a 3. So the occupied stores are okay. The vacancies, you can see the example, are like not great, right? There's no sign, the gates close all the time. So that's
Did that
definitely
happen
something to
because
build
of
on.
COVID, or it's historically been like that?
Definitely COVID had a big part to do with it. And main streets are having a harder time to
Yes.
bounce back than the rest of areas. But yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to other Main Street, even like downtown financial district has, I think like a 20% vacancy I saw recently. So
But also the rents,
definitely, yes,
you
that's
know,
something.
gotta
Different
mention
rules,
that,
right?
mention the rent, and then there's no for rent sign on that.
No for rent sign. We actually got in touch with the owner of this property. They're gonna open this up soon. So there's always movement happening, but I feel like it is kind of staying this way. Like one other stores close, it goes vacant for a while.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't remember if in that CDNA you ask people whether they have a commercial lease or not, because I see a personal experience. You might know a little bit about this too. A lot of the business owners in the community, they have been in business for quite some time. The ones that are able to stay, especially after the pandemic, the landlord doesn't always give you a lease. the other day I had a
Oh.
business owner who went to ask for a lease because they're doing something with BOX EDC. And right there, the landlord was like, well, I'm gonna increase the rent for $1,500 right there, just because he went to request a lease and actually paid.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a question we asked was, do you have a lease? I didn't have that number, but most do. And
Most do.
most do. An issue that came up is, I should look through that data again of like your relationship with your landlord. I would say most have a good relationship, but definitely the cost of rent on 149 Third Avenue is really high. Different on Melrose, Cortland, Morris, but right in the core, it's like 7,500 a month,
Wow.
right?
So they'd rather keep it empty than,
I guess so. And
I
Yeah.
never understood that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
7,500.
so I think so, around that, you know. Okay. Okay, so yeah, just some, streetscape findings, right, I think like something I've noticed is like the bus stops are really clogged and congested around rush hour, not a lot of seating, people using informal seating like the old light post there. There's artwork in this train station, which is really nice. There's some wayfinding for bicycles. And the redesign on Willis Avenue with the bike lane, I think is, a good, positive development. And I think that, I like no worries, the one on the bottom right of the like old sign, I think there's a lot of that. That's really interesting, kind of going back to that history. So just a few more pictures. The informal artwork, the graffiti, I think is a real highlight, adds color to the streets. Informal tree pit guards on Melrose Avenue. Someone built that wood structure to protect the tree and put trash cans out, so that's something. But of course the dumping, it can be really intense.
Now, that's a piece, that was that famous artist Banks who drew that.
That is not a Banksy. I know there was
okay.
one.
There was another one nearby then.
Yes.
It was similar to that one.
I
It
think
was
that,
similar, Bank Street, yeah, Banksy, drew several
yeah.
drawings around that area.
Mhm. So I think, I'm not sure if that's him, but I think that is a famous graffiti artist.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that's a strength, right? Like it's here, it's nice, it adds a lot to the street. So, yeah. Okay, so I surveyed 124 businesses. Top 3 changes that business owners or respondents want to see are safety, sanitation, and landscaping and beautification. Top 3 resources needed are marketing, access to financing, and lease support. So there's the lease support, right? It's the lease is high, like maybe we're month to month and we want to renew and they're asking too much. Yeah, we can go through this. Okay, 48% are minority or women-owned businesses, but only 18% are registered. So there's an opportunity there. And more than half use social media, have a website, and sell online. Okay, and then heard from about 220 consumers surveyed at the YMCA, at the Marshalls, and then at Roberto Clemente Plaza. Again, safety and sanitation were the top issues. Community events being another change people would like to see. And healthy foods, department stores, clothing stores, more diverse sit-down restaurants, and a coffee shop was a business suggestion. Okay, so about a third of respondents are weekday shoppers, so that's most are shopping during the weekday, and and spend $100 or more per shopping trip. Most respondents walk, take the bus or the subway, and about 14% use a personal car to get to the hub. 77% are concerned about safety, with 21 specifically calling out drugs and homelessness. Daytime versus nighttime safety perceptions, a little bit better in the day, but almost half of respondents not feeling safe at all at night. Okay, so some quotes from respondents. So the fact that it still has remnants of the old Bronx. People over in this area are the most friendly people of the Bronx. Different cultures, moms and pop shops, discount stores, street vending, right? These are all things people like about this area. I love this one though. Everything you need is in one place and it has a homey urban feel city, but not city, but still city.
Mhm.
Kind of does make sense, right? It's like
Yes.
the community
Yes.
really is strong here. So when asked about new businesses, these were some ideas that came up. A tech makerspace, I thought that's a great idea.
What is
Bookstore.
a tech maker space?
So, like 3D printers and, anything learning about tech, computer programming, engineering, any kind of those programs. I don't think there is anything really like that here. Bookstores, outdoor seating areas, healthy food options, coffee shops, bookstores, restaurants, supermarkets. Okay, yeah, so the strengths from all that surveying, this is, the list that we developed. People really like the competitive prices and the vast selection of goods, right? There's a sense you can find everything here in the hub. Diverse selections. West African specialty stores, Oaxacan delis all exist here. The transit options are a huge strength. Good walkability. Roberto Clemente Plaza is a strength for commerce, has its issues. And building off the history, there's 5 landmark preservation community recognized historic buildings, and potential for further designations.
Do you know what they are, Ben, those buildings?
Yeah, so there's the
Yeah.
Hoffman Building,
That's one, yeah.
the Dollar Savings Bank,
Okay, yeah.
Bronx Documentary Center,
Okay.
Opera House
That's up in
Hotel.
Cortland.
Yeah,
The Opera House is
Cortland.
the newest, that's kind of recent, yeah.
yeah. There's the Firehouse on Portland.
Oh, spot on, yeah.
That's in between Melrose. Is
Yeah.
that the one in
Oh, no,
Melrose you're
on-
talking
On
about?
150th, going down.
Oh, that's the other one on 150th. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But
I know which one it is.
There's like the McCrory Building, that's on Third Avenue,
That's
that
old, but it's not landmark.
it's not landmarked, and I think there's.
Oh,
an
that's not a
opportunity
landmark?
there. Yeah,
Oh, that used
Yeah,
to be
the
a fine
Opera, the
dime
Opera
store.
House is a good option too
Yeah.
for land.
That was known as the Woolworths
that one
of
is
this
there.
area.
Oh, that one is land.
Oh, yes, that, we called it a five and dime store. It was known as the Woolworths of this area. I'll tell you one thing, when Alexander's closed, I knew Third Avenue would never again be the same.
Right, yeah, I've heard a lot about Alexander.
Alexander's, good old Alexander's, okay, and it did stay for a while, because the Race Department store then was open, and then that was the biggest store, but
Right,
once that closed, I said, Third Avenue is never gonna be the same again. Now Hearns, the store towards 149, that got vandalized in the blackout of 1977.
okay.
Yeah, as a 14-year-old kid, I remember that, but Hearns was one of those high-quality stores that
Yeah.
sold very good material and merchandise and everything. Freddie, do you remember, where's Freddie? Oh, Freddie left. I thought he was gonna remember.
He
all
just
that.
stepped out, he just stepped out.
Okay,
His stuff is
okay.
here.
Oh, I didn't see
That
him.
building that's here in the.
Yes, but that McCrory was that was the good Woolworths of this area. You know, because it's a place that had a countertop, and you could go there and, buy your sundae and everything, so, yeah.
So
Mhm.
the challenges are real, right? Crime and safety, sanitation, the sense of desertion after dark, I think is a real thing, safety challenges at night. And, the outdated, unattractive frontages, I think, a lot of the storefronts could use an upgrade. So aside from Roberto Clemente, there's not much open space to sit and linger, right? If you're here shopping, there's not an incentive to stay. The sidewalks can feel really congested, especially like right on 149 Third Avenue. There's not a lot of pedestrian space on the street. Lack of bus shelters. Bus speeds are slow. There's no countdown signs at any bus, even like the SPS. And then lack of coordination. I think there's opportunity to grow the bid and just increase the awareness of the bid. And lack of supermarkets or fresh food. So what do we do about all this? So, I think a good idea is furthering the work that the opioid collective is doing, which the bid is part of. So just really talking with them and getting the substance users and the folks, servicing them to come up with a really solid plan. And I think a lot of that is like communication. Like I know there's been a need to for the community to know what's going on, what's their schedule, when is the needle distribution happening. I'm not sure if that is being disseminated properly. So I think there's something there. Organizing community cleanups, which we're doing April 12th with the community board. So I think keeping that consistent. So looking at where the most vacant storefronts are and activating those storefronts, getting the gates open more, providing a gallery space for artists, doing community events there. And then organizing a plan for lighting. So asking stores to keep their gates open more during the night, shining light out onto the street. So clean up random graffiti where appropriate, but also highlighting and even promoting more of the positive graffiti that I think is important here. There's a lot of vacant land that I think can be activated for a new park, new open space. And those are highlighted there. And okay, so expanding pedestrian space, I think can be a really positive thing to do. Information fairs, I think there's a sense that there are a lot of services, but people don't know what nonprofits are here. So holding more information fairs can be an easy win. Tracking a farmer's market vendor to Roberto Clemente Plaza could be really good, or working with DOT to allow the vendors to operate there, like in Corona Plaza in Queens, if you've been there. So another thing is there's a lot of second story vacancies, and that could be where a makerspace or after school activities go. This is a really young community district, so I think there needs to be space for that. And then working towards cooperative ownership, I think could be a really, really positive opportunity there. So yeah, that's that. If you have any ideas around those opportunities, want to get involved in any of that, please reach
Benjamin,
out.
thank you so much for the presentation. I'm pretty sure that the committee members have questions, and I wanted to get us started with a few.
Yes.
So lots of great ideas.
Yes.
Right? And I'm pretty sure that depending on how long you have been working on this type of projects, this is very similar to what other businesses also, share. And we have similar needs to people in strong commercial districts. So sometimes the challenge here is the coordination, right? The lack of staff also to coordinate and be able to actually implement some of these ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So how many staff members do you have at the bid right now?
That's a good point. Yes, it's just Pedro and I that are, kind of leading this effort. So it's just us two.
Okay.
And we have maintenance staff, like 3.
The maintenance staff.
Yeah.
And SBS is not providing any other type of support, coordination?
They provide a lot. But I know Pedro's going after more grants to expand. There's also talks of an assessment increase potentially for the bid. So we're trying to grow. We know the bid needs to grow with the area to provide the services needed. And I think, a lot of the decline maybe of the area has to do with the bid not growing.
Yeah.
So
I was, in prior meetings, our members have talked about the issues with the Department of Sanitation, right? Which is, I didn't see that on the presentation, but I'm pretty sure that you had the opportunity to talk to business owners. And, at some point we were talking about hey, let's ask the council member in the area to allocate certain funds that could be then allocated to the bid. Because, when you walk around, yes, the image of the commercial space and the awnings and making sure, like going to a store that looks clean is good, but the area in general, right? The amount of trash that is disposed in the streets, it's it's not a pleasant experience. Although I agree with you, we have pretty much every store here, like good stores, right? So I want to give the opportunity to the committee members to talk and if you have any questions, before we can think about, how perhaps with our limited resources also as a community board, we could support. But I mean, again, if we could have a trolley on Christmas time, that'd be nice.
Well, I think
But just a
that
suggestion.
one thing that I am gonna emphasize is, probably because I'm also part of the environmental committee, we're gonna get ready to have an Earth Day activity of cleaning up around that 149th Street area. But I know that's not gonna happen all year round.
Right.
And you're absolutely right. That 149th Street area, it's terrible. And ever since that rule came out, especially of putting out your garbage after 8, I don't know, something has to be coordinated with the sanitation department now. They have, I understand, a certain schedule as to when they do come pick up the garbage. So now you have the bins overflowing. You go around there, it smells. It's terrible. It's just a total disaster. So you have, I understand, the sanitation department does not always, they don't come every day to pick it up. So it's like overflowing, and it's actually a big disaster. Okay.
Yeah. So if I may, Chair, may I respond? So thank you for the question. So with some of the work that Pedro talked about with the Community Links Program adds additional resources to the area, especially in the bid, as a support of the work of the Community Board and the Third Avenue bid to ensure that sanitation department is adding more additional resources. What does that mean? 3 pickups a day. So there is more frequent pickups because it's a focus of the leadership of the bid and which we are, this is for open information, we are a member of the board. Even though it's nonverbal, I'm a very vocal representative representing the work of the board on that in these meetings. Because we believe that when you have a clean commercial district allows you mentally to feel like you want to spend more money. It attracts more people. But mindfully that we have always been second to Times Square, a very heavy commercial district traffic area. And with the oversaturation of so many of the other issues, open drug use, et cetera, et cetera. So this is something specifically that Pedro's been focusing on, but continuously advocacy, the mayor has directly added those city resources that we were at a press conference, I think earlier last month, if I'm not mistaken, maybe January, late January, February, where we talk about specific key issues we're picking up, which is one is the drug issue, so mental health services, substance abuse services, and sanitation services, in addition to resources, because this has been a long systemic problem since Pedro's been at the bid and since I've been at the community board talking about the equity of services that have been happening or not happening in our district and how we have to set standards to be able to bring those resources to bear. So that's why this research will help to identify and provide suggestions, and then from there move forward to the next steps of understanding how those suggestions, on top of whatever we have as a committee and as a board, to implement those recommendations from this research. So this is what this conversation is today, to be able to pull on everyone's versus of different experience, from residents to people working on the environment to small business and real estate and et cetera, to say, and then people historically who shopped and was born and reared around the bid about where, because we all know what this area has and its history has to be able to has in it historically to be able to accomplish. So I want to add that part about the sanitation chair. Thank you.
Pedro has advocated for increased pickup. So it is happening. But yes, it's continues.
When you advocate for the increased pickup, who do you go to?
You're right. Like Anthony was saying, the mayor's office, sanitation department. And this is more Pedro. He'll talk about this next month.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So, I'm here to support that kind of work. I mean, people see it, right? Every survey respondent said sanitation is an issue.
Yeah.
Our bid staff is cleaning up 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. 5 days a week. But by the end of their cleanup, it's kind of bad.
Yeah, one of the issues that I've seen is that at night, since the garbage is out, until the morning, you have people that are just loitering on their avenue. Yeah, I've seen them myself. They just open the bags and they throw everything out.
Yeah.
And they leave it there.
I've seen the remnants of that. It's really frustrating. I mean, yeah, I heard that from business owners. They had to rebag, the same garbage.
I've seen it.
And I think that's
It's a
an
big
issue
problem.
coming, kind of parallel to the safety, security level, that Roberto Clemente Square is really, not let me put it this way, I don't think it's even a safe place for you to sit around there. And then that's like a main bus stop area too, so you have a lot of pedestrian, and then you have other type of people, I don't wanna, disrespect anybody staying on live, but it seems to have like a big homeless population in that area, and that's where they seem to pick to hang out, let me put it that way. I don't look down on them, and I know that, but I think that it becomes a safety issue. I don't know, we should get in touch more with the precincts and see if we can get more patrol in that area. We might have to do that. And then, of course, the transportation situation, that the bus stops, we might have to one day get the MTA in here and let them give us a presentation of their plans, because I wonder, for example, like where that M125 stops in, going towards Manhattan. Why don't they have a shield or some kind of official bus stop there? Okay, maybe little things like that would help, but everybody's at a point where you don't want to be standing around there waiting for a bus for too long, because you don't know what might happen to you. That McDonald's that's there, I've been telling McDonald's for a long time, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Why can't you have a security guard station here or something? Because that, nobody should be going into that McDonald's. No, I mean it. I don't think it's safe for anybody to walk in there at the point that it has gotten. So I don't know. Again, it's a safety issue. It's become a hazardous McDonald's to go into, which is a shame because it's supposed to be a major franchise in our area. Okay, but
They must be making money. I mean,
well, I'm
they
sure
have,
that
they're making money.
McDonald's is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
That much I know. So
Thank
I
you so
don't know.
much, Archie, for raising that. I'm
Yeah.
wondering, connecting back to some of the conversations Anthony and I have had with regards to the community stakeholders. So one of the things we were exploring is to see, how we could convene some of the stakeholders in the area, right? Perhaps finding that neutral space where people can come and in a very civilized way. So, I would like to just express that, and we can have the conversation with Pedro as well. Like if we can help and facilitate and kind of like convene folks. I mean, to your point, RG, someone should be able to reach out to the owner of that space for McDonald's and, convene these people, because I don't think that the bid is going to be able to do everything that needs to be done here, This hospital, like we have a great partner too in the new leadership at the hospital, and they, with their location and their resources, like, because I going back to the public safety issue and the homelessness and the mental health issues in the area. So I think it requires a conversation with so many other people. And even though we don't have like an enforcement authority, perhaps by bringing folks, right, and kind of like having the conversation, some folks can say like, hey, you know what? Let me get my act together, and kind of like. And then we can come back in 3 or 4 months later. And you come to some of these meetings, Anthony, right?
Sure. So thank you, Chair. And building on your leadership and talking about what you were exactly talking about, we are a great convener of folks. And like you said, turning on the lights will do two things. One, highlight the issues. Two, highlight the businesses who are working together to comply with the issues. We're going to have more stronger conversations about what that means for not only the bid area, which is one of the important, because they're organized business improvement district, but the entire district, because we do have we expand into the Port Morris section where the Bronx Brewery is at. We expand to other commercial unorganized commercial districts, 138th and Brook Avenue, because these are fortunately, he was able to highlight what's happening with businesses only in that commercial area, but we all understand that there's a lot of issues that are happening throughout our district. And we know, unfortunately, the South Bronx and this district especially has been a district of, and no pun intended, of studies that sit on desks, that sit on shelves, and unfortunately doesn't accomplish
Nobody does anything about
anything.
it. Right.
And so we look forward to, the staff and I look forward to working to expand on your leadership to talk about how we can convene, bring practitioners and organizations and business owners, commercial, large and medium, to be able to have these conversations about what the reality of our standard of our desire for business and economic development needs to look like in this area in the summertime. And while we're on recess, it looks like a best time to maybe start putting it together now. So thank you for.
Did you do that
bringing
at
it up.
all? Convene businesses or?
Yes, yeah, so I'm gonna be presenting this to businesses, on April 17th at the YMCA. So we're hosting like a business roundtable. So I'll go back out to the businesses I surveyed and we'll like canvas and like hand out flyers and really try
Oh,
to
that's good though.
get good engagement. I've heard from several property owners during this, so like, I sent every property owner in that study area a letter, and I actually got responses. I was surprised, but I got about 10 responses, and
Well, the property owner is different than the business though.
exactly,
Okay.
yes, and they're almost more important, right? Like
Yes.
they own multiple properties a lot of times, and they give the leases out to the businesses. So yes, all that's to say is it's taking time, but like we are building the momentum and
Are there ways in which you all in the hold responsible the landlords that lease their spaces to, let's say, like a small business, or in comparison to a small business, a larger business like a McDonald's or a T-Mobile or whatnot?
I mean, it's a tricky thing. How did you put it? Like, hold responsible? Like,
I mean, like, are there like guidelines to bid? Like how many small businesses versus more commercial corporations coming in?
I think that's a great opportunity that we should be building on with this. I'm not sure if there are. And I know like Times Square bid has a lot of that, right? It's like there's requirements on the amount of lights you have because they want to keep the place lit the way it has historically been. So I think that's something we could really build is like, if you're gonna come here, like there's a way to like approach the bid, like get, and it's not about like enforcement.
Right. And I want to add to that is remember that the bid consists of the actual property owners,
right?
Versus, and it has a small slither of businesses that can probably, speak or have some representation, but it's majority of property owners because it's the property owners who have a tax assessment on their property that funds the work of the bid.
Oh, I was going to ask that, like a simple, like I didn't understand. It's not the business because you mentioned assessment.
Right.
So I assume that's a way to get in
Right.
funding.
Now the assessment,
So it's
right? So the property owner has to assess the tax assessment into the rent of the business.
Yes.
And in exchange for that, the business gets the additional services for biz. Some biz take that assessment and do help with the 100% is operating budget, which is security, sanitation,
but that's like a hard sell here.
Other programming, right? So with that, it also consists of that. So you have to balance, like if you have a bid that has a high assessment and in exchange for additional services, then the understanding is that you try to make a determination on the probably going to do we want to spend more on this and more on that, and then when you get that type of service, you get to understanding that you're going to be able to then make pass an ordinance that decides what type of businesses you want. So I know you're going where it's like a homeowners association.
Yeah.
No red doors. That's all of us pass that door. All of us pass that. But that has to be something that all the businesses agree. But you have to look at also the population you serve. So if you're gonna get like say steaks and potatoes restaurants, you got they're gonna make sure that steak and potatoes business fares well in this district. So you got to almost kind of balance, play a balancing game, and maybe that's something in the future that you live into that reality of saying we want to put more onus on the business, that you're not inviting more amusement park special events organizations into the area. Did you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Am I
of
answering
course,
your
no,
question?
yeah.
So it's kind of like when's the
It's a
time
balance.
for that to happen?
Yeah.
And because and in order to put that into that issue into place.
So to be clear, you're meeting with the business owner, the owners of the property, or the businesses themselves?
Both.
Oh, you are? Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so, so there's different classes of, stakeholders. Class A is property owners, so they formed the bid back in 1990. And so, so there's more active members than there are, right? Every property within the boundary is in the bid. They might not know about it, but they are. But there's only a handful that are very active and are, want to be participating in this, would want to set up guidelines and have an active conversation about what types of businesses come in. That's a big part of Pedro and I's job, is like reaching out to more property owners, getting them involved, and saying like, this is a really good thing. Like, can you help? Can you be on board? Like, here's what we're envisioning. Can you be part of that? That's what this is about.
Quick question. I think what happened to the conversations about doing the bid on that other side on Alexander? And if I remember correctly, that was supposed to be part of Third Avenue bid too, right?
We had a leadership change, as far as I know. I'm not even here a year. Pedro just finished his first year, so it's a new leadership, new ideas. That was an old plan, as far as I can tell. I mean, I think like Anthony was saying, like the other corridors feed into here. We're not in a vacuum. We know that. So like knowing what's going on 138 on Bruckner is like very important. But I think that's its own world. There should be another bid down there. There should be more bids. Like it's a very good thing. But working together is the idea. I don't think it would make sense for our bid to expand down there.
Yeah, I guess that was my question, if you were looking at any opportunities for expansion.
No, it would just be on where the current boundaries are now in this study area. Yeah.
And to add to that, Chair, and then Pedro talked about this publicly, so I can maybe hint on what I was telling his thunder. This bid has not had a look at its assessment in a very long time. So if you look at historically other assessments and other bids similar to this size, or this a little bit more bigger, we have been baseline almost entirely for Sys's existence. If it has been changed, I think Pedro's better with the numbers than me to tell you how that's been changed. But the need here is greater, and there's more give and take in certain areas than our bid. And I think that and so that's important to realize. If I may ask I also have a couple questions for the witness. I don't know about any other members do, Chair.
Yeah.
All right. If you can talk, Benjamin, thank you again for coming out. If you can talk about what is it historically, have you, without sharing this plan yet with SBS, have historically you saw when studies like this are done and the commercial district has support, has SBS provided, whether it is implementation of some of the objectives that you or recommendations you're making, or other types of support to support the positive outcomes of your in this report?
It's a good question. I think I'm still learning that as well as I go. Year one is getting this report out. We'll be publishing it in the fall, so it'll go live in the fall, in print and online. What does year 2 and 3 look like? What does a convening program actually look like? I think that's what it'll be, right? They provide a lot of support. It's a lot of check-in. We're essentially partners. So any type of like tabling, like being there at events that we do, connecting with city agencies if we need to meet with them. That it'll be things like that.
Right,
Yeah.
because, you know, and next to the executive director where, you know, we have done almost every city official, and it's not a bad thing, has visited the Third Avenue bid.
Right.
From sanitation to, the deputy mayor for health and human services, and hopefully that brings, some positive attention, about, meaning in a way that, some of our social negative health conditions that are happening in the area. I know that day in and day out, the bid has experienced helping to save people's lives to overdose. We have, the only thing, I don't know if you do this, only thing we are not doing yet at the bid is removing, used hypodermic needles, and maybe you are, but,
Yeah, we don't have that capacity.
the
but
training, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that your sanitation, team are you a one person sanitation team, or how many sanitation team
there's 3
members?
now. We have a team leader who's in direct contact with sanitation and the needle pickup, Boom Health, On Point. They work together.
And so, but I'm talking about your sanitation, your staff is doing sanitation on the streets, moving trash
Yes.
and working. And how much are you doing in education now that it's from, has it been doing education to help, businesses understand how much they have to keep in front of their businesses clean? Because your sanitation efforts are supportive efforts and not just the only sanitation issue where businesses just to be outside. Like, how much education is going into the work you're doing, in a budget ways?
Yeah, we should do another round of outreach in that respect. I know it happens. We have a newsletter that goes out monthly, but yeah, we aside from going directly into businesses, leaving a flyer, I know that is done, quarterly, I would say, updates about sanitation rules and regulations. When there was a big change for containerization recently, there was a big outreach push, and it's probably worth doing that again. Yeah.
How much is the street vending issue hindering the work and I don't know if you highlighted it in your report, but how is it impacting the work that we're doing as a bid?
So I know Street Vendor Project, they presented to this committee. They're doing a street vendor study on Third Avenue. So they'll have some good numbers about what types of street vending are here. But that's definitely something we're in touch with. We're in touch with the leaders of the street vendors to at least figure out sanitation, where they are set up. Can they not be directly in front of the train? There are rules that say that. But we want to just say all right, if you're here, work with us and let's figure out a system. But yeah, our sanitation team is picking up after them a lot. I think they're getting a little bit better about bagging and removing their trash, but yeah, it takes a lot of outreach and engagement, which we are doing. Yeah.
Benjamin, I want to thank you for the information that you have provided, and I want to reiterate that I think I speak for the committee members. We would love to continue to work with Pedro and the team and with you as well. I think that we've been here for quite some time, and we are vested. We have a vested interest in this community. We have property owners, we have small business owners. I work for a large nonprofit too that does provide a lot of services in the area. So I think that we welcome the idea of convening a meeting
Yes.
with stakeholders and with Pedro's leadership, to kind of a partnership with the community board, an initial partnership, right, with the community board and with the bid, and just reaching out to those other folks that I know that also have an interest in seeing improvement, just bringing folks to the table and talking, because there's so much stuff that we offer that we don't know, and hearing from everyone's perspective on how. You just mentioned something important. You're picking up after the street vendors. That's so unfair, but unfortunately, that's the position where you are now. And we know that a lot of people understand that the street vendors, they also deserve an opportunity to make a living. The business owners might think differently too. So just hoping that the community work can be that partner that bring folks to the table, because I feel, in my opinion, people can also add their thoughts. I feel like that's the role that we can play best with so many of these issues.
To continue conversation
Yes.
and build on, and listen, like, what are the issues?
Let me ask something.
Yeah.
Is the bid considering, advocating for lowering the amount of those, drug clinics in the area? Because it's quite evidently a problem.
I couldn't answer that, but, I listed that as an opportunity, it's something that we want to be a part of with the community board. So I think that goes with the convening that you're proposing. I think that's definitely where we should start. This is my first time presenting here. Pedro's here next month. I feel like this economic development committee and the Third Avenue bid should be working together.
And I just want to, just very slightly ask, I wonder, how does the bid work towards, I'm thinking about even the personal economy of the district. I remember, even as a kid, and I'm probably thinking about this, we're getting ready to have our job fair for the youth on Saturday. But I remember that we were always able to go to Third Avenue and get a job. What kind of employment opportunities will this offer people of our district?
Yes.
You didn't have to be a kid. I mean, we used to have in the summertime during our vacations. Yeah, I got to work at Alexander's as a youth, but I know that you didn't have. It was always you go to Third Avenue and get yourself even a little part-time job. But I'm thinking about the economy personally of the district and how I remember they always had employment opportunities. Those businesses always did for the people in the surrounding neighborhood and community.
Yeah. I mean, the bid, we want to be a connector for sure, because we have the relationships with the businesses. Any sort of youth employment, opportunity that comes up, we can connect. We can host a fair, information fairs. We can host a job fair. I know Destination Tomorrow is doing a job fair soon, and
what we're doing on Saturday, we're going to be having a job fair here to the youth, right at the charter school. And that's probably why that came to my mind about that.
Let me ask, does the bid, suggest to business or property owners to lower the rents? Because, I mean, the vacancy rates are way above average for the Bronx and the city. So, is that the job of, or can that be the job of the bid to suggest, hey, listen, you need to lower the rent so you could entice businesses, to come in?
Good luck with that.
That's the craziness.
Being an idealist, sure, right? But that's how it should work. The market is saying right now that they need to lower rent because there's too many empty businesses.
They'll get a tax credit if the store is vacant.
They would rather keep it vacant. That's sad.
There has to
Think
be
about it.
legislation
That's the
to
way
change that, yeah.
That's
Well,
the way
that's
the system works.
That's why I said the bid should suggest.
We have to realize that the bid is, it is, while it is run by non-business owners,
It's run by.
it's run by the property, the board of directors are the actual
Real estate
property owners.
owners.
Oops.
But-
my bad.
ultimately a property owner would want,
That's what I
the
said.
things that we all want, which is like a thriving commercial corridor, like positive storefronts happening. So, that's what I think we're doing now, is like just having those conversations with property owners and like, what do you envision? I think that's where
Lynn, do you know what the vacancy was before COVID?
it's a good question. I mean, it's always a little higher in these like big commercial areas,
Oh, it
just
is.
with
So
turnover.
you think it was close to that 17% like that,
I
or?
know city planning has that kind of data. I can follow up with that.
But I know a lot of many organizations left after COVID, even folks that had like commercial spaces on the second floor, like mental health clinics and stuff like that, they closed. So we suffer a lot after the pandemic.
And I
in this
know,
area.
I just want to make one small comment. I wonder, how does the bid work towards, let me put it this way, casualties that happen? And I'm thinking about, I guess on a personal level here, last year, there was a major fire across the street from our office.
Yes.
And I even felt sorry for the guy, especially I missed that 99-cent store.
Yeah.
There was a Dunkin' Donuts
Donuts.
there was another, store, but I know that none of these people will ever really recover their businesses.
Yeah.
You know, and I wonder, how does the bid help with that, or give me some insight on
So
what happened?
I'll answer and then Benjamin could add if he wants. So first of all, Pedro and Benjamin both shared their expertise, but that area falls extremely all the way out of the boundaries, the current boundaries of the bid.
Okay.
But Pedro's and Benjamin's leadership and understanding and sensitivity of how they felt so horrified by their experiences, learned the expertise and made sure that and the community board also and held as a host site where the Department of Small Business Services put their executive director in charge of disaster relief on I think a monthly meeting, and bi-weekly we kept in contact with those businesses to help relocate those who could be relocated, access to legal and other support services, and some of them were relocated within the boundaries of the bid. A textile business space, and along with some other folks, got relocated. This directly, I think, under the bid office in the old race department store. And so Pedro immediately jumped into the action with us, with the community board, to meet and convene these businesses. And what I've learned about some of the businesses is that if you have a business, continue to upgrade your insurance plan. Because when you started back in the 1980s and 1990s, and the premium of the insurance coverage you had at that time, it's not going to help you now where you are trying to restart your business. I've unfortunately saw some people who've been around for 15, 20 years had a $10,000 only policy at that time.
Imagine.
And so that became an unfortunate experience. And these are businesses that have been around for a long time. I've watched grown men and women cry
Of course.
when losing their business. I have watched, I've saw on this, and I ran nonprofits and I've managed properties and buildings sometimes, but I never know the impact of people who put all of their life savings, blood, sweat, and tears into making sure that businesses can be able to maintain, and the fear that goes into these businesses, because they not only impact the business owner, but impact the families that are employed day in and day out, who mean so much of this. So so that's what that actually, and this is Pedro, I think, as maybe his 4th or 5th month serving as the executive director, and showing that his commitment to that, and again, totally outside of his district, had no nickel in the fight, making sure that we understood and we saw what was happening day in, day out. And Stephen and I even got a little bite back from from part of businesses that who were felt that we were helping helping to burn down businesses. And says, they already burned down. They don't really need your community board's help. I need you to move this traffic this way, or do this and do that. And so we even got some news, some coverage, right, that came from that. We'll talk about that another time. But the whole thing is to say is that it is the bid's responsibility, primarily as I understand it, to help the businesses totally inside, because that's what you do. But if you have a real serious commitment, you have a little SBS blood in you, Paola, you can't, and some business owners like Freddie and others, you can't walk away from that. You can't see a business that's too, actually that Freddie was there too. Actually, he helped out a lot by making sure that that Erica, your business is like right across the street from it, and it's seen the impact. And then because so all to say that as a bid owner, or a bid on a bid ED or bid team member, you have a definitely soft spot inside your system for these businesses, and that's something that this leadership now in the bid has demonstrated time and time again, along with people who come from the community. I think I was on the phone, Paola, because it's an economic development. I think often we were on the phone talking about what's going to happen. What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Because it seems like it's never enough when you see businesses. Because again, the 99-cent store, he's been there, but I think he said anywhere between 10 to 15 years. Chinese, and he had somewhere else to go. get another business he can be able to work at. The Chinese store woman's been there a little bit longer with her a Chinese restaurant. That was her business over, it's gone, it's out. Some of the other places are new. She had no insurance. So you have to find another place, and to start a business all over again, especially a restaurant, is probably the most difficult thing to have going on. And now you're in competition with everything that's growing in this community. You know, you got a Chinese restaurant in almost every community, in multiple corners. You have restaurants that are trying to come in and make it. So you're in competition. But I think she had it all coined out because that was the only Chinese restaurant for
100 years.
For 100 years, and it's been around that, and it's close in that neighborhood, so she had it all sold up. But I say that to say that the commitment to small businesses, if they're in the boundary area, we are lucky to have someone that goes outside the boundary area to make sure the businesses survive. Now we all have a going poll about what we will see in that lot in the next 5 years. We're
Was
sure
that all owned by the same person?
all owned by the same person.
That whole strip, wow.
The whole lot, and we've seen towers come up like this in that.
You're not kidding.
So,
I mean,
so that likely that'll be rezoned and be
change the whole
residential tower,
dynamics.
and then your business will be almost in the shadow, right, Freddie? If there's a tower goes there.
Well,
Thank you, Chair.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ben. That was
Yes.
really very nice presentation.
We're gonna be
Yeah.
following up then.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna officially, any old business we need to discuss?
Chair, I just want to remind you that as we have, like you said, the job fair is coming up on Saturday. We have also we've been talking you're talking in executive session about the request we had that came up on for executive committee members for Thursday. And
Do you wanna talk about it now?
we're talking
when we wrap
executive
up the
session.
meeting?
Yeah, we wrap up
Mhm.
that, and it's up to whoever, however you want to handle it at the time. And then want to also remind you that our executive committee meetings on Monday, as I understand. Nothing else, Chair.
Okay, so we officially wrap up this meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you for taking your time.
Oh, no, it was very